Assistant Superintendent of Business and Operations is sitting in for Jim. Jim is on his way back from the city at a meeting that he went to, and so as soon as he shows up, maybe they'll switch, or maybe we'll just leave Karen here, and we'll just have Jim sit in the back. But he is on his way, and so we're just going to keep moving forward. And then Shelley is ill. Trustee Scott is ill this evening, so I'd like to excuse her. You know.
And to excuse Trustee Scott from this evening's meeting.
Okay.
A second.
Okay, a second from Trustee Geela. All in favor to excuse Trustee Scott? Ross, okay. 7-0, thank you, or 6-0. 6-0, and we were 6-0 on the agenda. I apologize on that. Okay, and the consent or non-agenda public comment, if you'd like to speak to a consent item or any item on the agenda, please fill out a blue card. I do have one already in front of me. They're out in the foyer, and bring them up to Gladys, and we will put you on the agenda to come up and speak to it. All right, consent. Is there anything, Russ?
I'm going to pull N, M, and I'm going to pull N, F.
And F, okay. Greystone is F,
Yeah, right.
and,
Yeah, that's
and donations is M.
correct.
Okay. So we have two items pooled, so I need a motion excluding those items, but for the rest of the consent.
I'll move to accept the consent agenda without items F or M.
Okay.
Considered later.
Trustee Nell is a first. Any second? Trustee Clinton is a second. All in favor for the consent? Okay, 6-0, 1 absent. All right, Loma Verde is here tonight. Not yet. So Loma Verde, Tanya. Hi, guys. Looks like Red Ribbon Week, maybe.
Okay, Loma Verde, students, can you stand on this
Tanya,
side and
do
face
you
the
want to
board
announce who
members?
you?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Tanya Chima. I'm the principal at Loma Verde. And today I have 3 wonderful teachers with me, along with a handful of students that are going to share what we are doing this year and hopefully continuing after this year for our student leadership. So I have Allie McMorrow, our 3rd grade teacher, Emily Cavallero, another 3rd grade teacher, and Lisa Hanley, 4th grade teacher, who are heading off our student leadership. And this is a program for 3rd through 5th graders that are really taking charge of the community of our school and working on giving back to our community and kind of looking abroad and seeing how they can serve a larger purpose. So I will let our wonderful students tell you about it. We'll start with Noah, a wonderful 4th grader.
Hi.
Noah, come over here.
We are Loma Verde leadership team. In order to be part of leadership, we had to fill out an application telling our advisors why we care, how we show we care, what is something we can do to make Loma Verde a better place. We also had to get a signature from our parents and from 2 adults on campus who believes we would be a good to assist the leadership team. We believe that leaders are helpers and good leaders are good role models. Oh, and next we have my sister Hannah.
We are lucky that our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade fifth grades wanted to be a part of making our community better. A helping community is a community that cares for each other. We want Loma Verde to be a helping community. We want to make our school a better and safer place for all students. As a leadership team, we plan on finding a needed outside of our school and turn our focus on always we can help Novato and in ways we can help internationally. It is important that we understand that it only takes one person to make a change. I would like to introduce my friend McLeod.
This last week was Red Ribbon Week. Red Ribbon Week means that you don't do drugs and that you are committed to take a stand, lend a hand, and be kind. We wore red on Friday, October 23rd, 2015 to kick off the week. We also had each student sign a pledge that hangs at our school. And we wrote a commitment to those pledges on a red strip of paper that we made into a paper chain that is hanging throughout our school hallways. I would like to introduce Melissa.
We would like you now to also add a strip to our chain, doing something, lending a hand, Ellen will pass it out.
We handed out boxes to all of the students so when they go trick or treating, they can also trick or treat for UNICEF. The Monday after Halloween, students brought their boxes to the leadership team and we will count the money that we will be donating. The money we raise will go towards school supplies, clean water, food, medication, and shelter for those less fortunate. I'm introducing my friend Magali.
Valley Fire's Fundraisers. We are planning a fundraiser to raise money for school supplies for the students who lost all or some of their belongings. I would like to introduce my friend Sam.
We have decided to add a buddy bench at our school where students who are feeling lonely can go to have a friend. As a leadership team, we have committed to be buddy bench ambassadors and making sure that kids who need community will get it. And I'd like to introduce you to my friend Avery.
Spirit Days. I have thought about many spirit days that we think will be helpful in bringing our school community together. Memories are built when we are having fun. Next is my friend Sophie. Our hope is that we will be a community that will include others, be respectful, help each other, and always be kind. Thank you very much.
No, they have to.
Behind this week or something that you like that.
And we're very happy to have our former Loma Verde student leadership child sitting right over there.
Oh, my pen doesn't work.
So here, kind of.
Thanks.
Debbie? Before you guys leave, thank you very much for supporting the Valley Fire victims. It's been just a horrible disaster for people up in Lake County. Thank you.
Thanks, Ross. Okay. Mhm. You got it all? You good? Okay. Thank you, Loma Verde. Good job. That was short-lived.
Thanks, Keelan. Karen, you did a great job.
Thanks, guys. Sorry. Hi.
Wow. You're tardy. No.
I am tardy.
No. No problem. Okay.
Hi, guys.
So, our next we have a presentation. You're gonna do the introductions. Are you ready or no?
Are you doing John?
Yep, we're right there.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Are you ready? Okay.
So I apologize for being late, and I'll have to watch that presentation on TV. So it looked pretty good. So thanks to Loma Verde for being here tonight. So I'd like to introduce John McLeod, and first met John, I guess, about a month ago, and it's been very serendipitous, I guess is the word that I would use, because just at the time when the Marin Community Foundation ended up selling the building that John's going to be in, was just the time when we had an opening for our maker space, which is out by the next to the county library. And John brings a wealth of contacts, used to work for Autodesk, has a ton of contacts in the business community, is doing a lot of work with ROP, already has a maker space, and so he is going to bring a wealth of assets to our school district, and tons of experience, and I think we're really going to be excited to have him on our team, so to speak. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce John McLeod to talk a little bit about the makerspace.
It's kind of hard to follow that. But that's what we're doing it for. We're doing it for those kids to develop the resources and the places that they can learn and create the tools and solutions for the 21st century. So that's kind of what I look at when we think about this makerspace. So I don't know, I wanted to show a video, but I don't know how to run the technology. This is kind of an overview of the space that you've all been working on for, I guess, 2 years to come to fruition. So we've been working with the Makerspace since 2010. We worked with the Make magazine when we set up the Young Makers program. And so we've been working in San Rafael. We have an Intel computer clubhouse there. And so we've been developing the tools and resources for the last 6 years. We have special programs for girls. We try to deal with special populations. It's a chaotic space. It's set up for learning. It's all project-based learning. It gives students a chance to explore things. We also work with the Marin County Office of Education. We work with their Career Pathways program, where we have an engineering and a media track. And this session, we have actually 5 students from San Marin High School who are building robotic boats. So we try to do a different project where they have to come up with a solution. And they do that in Makerspace. A little too loud. Talk closer to the mic. Okay. The other thing, we also work with independent study. We a number of the independent study schools in different districts. We work with special education. We've done a lot of professional development for schools and resources. And we've done a lot with adult education. So these are, and of course, we're going to have a lot of family and community events, because I really believe that when you have students, they share and give back to the community. So we're involved in a lot of community projects, both in Marin. We're involved in the Makers Fair that's held in San Mateo. We work with the California Film Institute and doing things with them. The Marin County Fair last year, we had a large exhibit around making. So we really want to be out in the community. And you can scan the kids are scanning their heads there in that picture. They have a 3D scanner and they could print their heads out in 3D. So that gives a brief overview. You have to talk close to the mic because we're on TV. We've actually worked with the public access TV station here in Novato for years. What excited me when I was approached to come up to this space was Sarah Jones is here from the public library. You want to stand up for a moment, Sarah?
Hi, Sarah.
Because when I was told by the Community Foundation that I had 6 months to move out of my building that I've been in for 15 years, Sarah said, well, you might be interested in this project that we're doing up in Novato. And I said, really? I said, I really didn't believe her. She says, yeah, you were going to have a new library there. We're going to have a media center. We're going to have a maker space. And we're looking for someone to come in and help us do the programming there. And I said, really? I just didn't really believe it, because this was, 2 months ago? Yeah. So it's an ideal situation. What attracted me is the partnership that you have with the library, the partnership with the school district, and the ability to work with both of those groups in developing some resources for the community, both in Novato and throughout Marin, that can work in your school districts, can bring students into the makerspace, can provide professional development for your teachers so they can bring it back to their classroom, work closely with your curriculum group so that we can develop programs that are tied into the curriculum so they're building 21st century skills, and then try to do something with adults in the community and special events. We do an awful lot. We work with the Marin County Office of Education, and 2 years ago we started a program called Marin Innovators, where we have an annual event where we try to get all the people in Marin who are doing making to come together. So the last 2 years, we've had that event at the Marin County Office of Education office. I think this coming year, we're going to have it at the College of Marin, but we've been talking to them about doing mini meetings and using this makerspace for that. We've also talked to my old company, Autodesk, and asked them, they were getting ready to roll out a major new program for 21st century skills using their programming, and they were looking for a group to test out their programs by providing with a school district and in a public setting. So when we talked about the library and we talked about the school district, they were very excited about doing that. So they're going to commit a lot of resources, both in cool stuff. We'll get a lot of cool toys from them. But they're also going to help do a lot of the professional development and fund some of the operational expenses at the Maker Center. We've also approached Maker Ed, which is the nonprofit part of Make Magazine, and they're real excited about working with us and helping us to develop professional development for the site. And we've talked to Tony DeRose from Pixar, who's I guess on the board of I think is on the School of the Arts that you have here in Novato, but he also has just developed a whole program with Khan Academy about the science. And we're going to be developing programs that complement what he's doing in the animation and doing makerspace. So those are like 2 or 3 of the people that we've talked to start off with. We're really looking at moving into this space, having programming open in January, and really make it a model for Marin County and maybe a national model for making and developing things. We're going to be part of that media center. So I'd be happy to answer any questions. I'm very excited about being part of this. And we just wanted to give you a brief overview of where we are right now.
Okay. Questions from the board? Anybody? sounds really exciting. Yeah, Trustee Nell?
You know, I'm just curious, what building were you in Centerville that?
On 3rd Street, 1115 3rd Street.
Okay. I'm not familiar with that, but I'm glad you're moving to Novato. It sounds ideal for the type of thing that we're trying to do out there in our Hamilton parcel. And so I look forward to a working relationship and hearing more about the program specifics. And it sounds like a natural fit for us.
Okay, thank you.
Ross?
So, John and I both participated in the Marin County Fair in the 1996 when we first brought email and internet to Marin County.
That's right.
And John's legacy of doing this great work is strong and deep, and I'm thrilled that we have a chance to find a way to work together again. This is and his professional connections, as you've heard, give us, in this 2-month window from going from we have a building and no program and finding somebody who has a program and no building is like magic.
It is magic.
We're going to have a wonderful result in the next 12 to 24 months, and I'm thrilled, John. Thank you so much for finding a way to Novato, I hope.
I'd forgot about that in 96 because we were showing people how to use email at the county fair.
Yeah.
That's only, 20 years ago.
Yeah, so thank you, and I'm excited, very excited.
Thanks,
Okay,
John.
thank you.
All right, announcements. Hi, Riley. Hi, Marley.
Hello. So at Novato High currently, we're starting early prep for our fashion show next semester. This month, MSA has their first musical, My Fair Lady, which is all sold out. Avid had their field trip to UC Merced on Monday. And we are starting our second school war, which is our canned food drive. That starts on the 9th and goes to the 19th. And MSA has 2 winter chorals this month on the 16th and 17th at 7 p.m. in our PAC. And Novato High won the Italian Delight Dine Donate, so we're happy about that. Thank you.
Hi. On Friday, November 13th at 1 p.m., Marin Oaks is having our honor roll assembly for students who earned a 3.0 or above in either quarter 4 of last year and or the first quarter this school year. 50 students will be recognized at this assembly.
Thank you.
No comments for this evening.
Okay. Trustee Geela?
Yes. I had the privilege to attend a dinner honoring the veterans over at Marin Catholic, Building Better Citizens for America. Every year they seem to be getting better, and the speaker was phenomenal. And he is an astronaut, and I would have loved for you guys to see it. Every student should see this film. It actually showed him filming when he was in space, how he ate, how he slept, how they eat, how they went to the bathroom, how they do everything. It was really a great speakers. Then I attended the National Equity Project here, and we got started. I felt like we're just putting our feet in the water, and we still have a lot of work to do about that. And the District Advisory Committee, I just want to thank all the people that attended and the community members. We have some here in the audience. Thank you very much, Greg. And Karen and everybody that took place. It's a lot of work, and we still have another meeting coming up in December, correct? And there's 2 things that I wanted to announce, and one is at the Novato Humane Society on November 10th, there's going to be a free movie. Everybody's welcome to go to this free movie. It's about this woman named Lizzie, and she was born with a syndrome, and she was bullied because of it. And so they filmed. It was kind of like a documentary, and she's been interviewed with Time Magazine and other places, but she fights against cyberbullying. And so we're going to show a free screening about her life on November 10th at the Humane Society. There'll be pizza and questions and answers and time to talk about it afterwards. So that's it, and I look forward to looking for the dual immersion committee meeting next time. That's it.
Trustee Cooper? Trustee Clinton? Trustee Nell?
Yeah, just a couple things. I wanted to also say I was at the Building Better Citizens fundraiser, and that particular group is the booster club for our very own junior ROTC. Trustee Milrick was there as well, and was an excellent speaker. But it was a sellout, and it looks like they raised a lot of money for ROTC. And just want to thank parents for sponsoring and putting that event on. Also attended the District Advisory Committee. And that was very, very productive. We were an opportunity to look at some research that was brought forward by employers today and the kinds of students and the skills that they would like to see their future employees have. And we discussed it, did a few exercises, and some meaningful dialogue. And I'm looking forward to hearing what the other subcommittee groups have to say as we get together and go forward. But essentially the goal is to figure out what it is our students should be learning before they graduate for high school for their future careers, whether that's college or vocational or whatever. So very proud of that work, and looks like we're moving ahead. And I just also wanted, on that subject, I read that Oracle is opening its own charter high school on its campus in an effort to help generate what they feel are the kinds of students they need for the future. And that they have decided that they need to do it themselves because they're having a lot of trouble with the public education system here in California. And I think that's quite a statement, and it's quite a wake-up call, and I think we all need to pay attention to that sort of thing and do the best we can to make sure that we're doing the best we can as equitably as possible for our students.
Great, thank you. The only thing I have is next week is Veterans Day. Next Wednesday is Veterans Day. All of our schools will be closed, and the district office will be closed as well to honor that day. So just be mindful of that. And then this Saturday is the Marin County Spelling Bee, if anybody's interested. We have several students going to that. One of them being an elementary student at Pleasant Valley. He won first place when Ross and I did it, and now he's on to the county spelling bee, which I think is quite good. And that starts at 9 o'clock on Saturday, if anybody's interested at the MCOE, at the County Office of Education.
I think I'll pass tonight, thank you.
Oh, okay. All right, non-agenda public comment. I do have one, Marla Fields. This is she has two items, but this one is non-agenda, and it's the speech and debate for San Marin High School. Hi, Marla.
Hi, everybody. I'll try to be fast. I know there's a few things going on tonight. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you about speech and debate because it's one of those clubs that sort of flies under the radar screen a little bit. You know, they don't produce robots that tool around, and they don't have these big tournaments that you can go watch. Their debates are in quiet rooms with one judge and one other team of two when they're in the parliamentary debate. But it's an amazing program. And San Marin has had it for about 6 years now, I think. It's run by a volunteer named Karen Kenyon. And there's a lot of interest at the school. We had over 20 freshmen join the club this year. And this last weekend, there was a big tournament at University of Pacific in Stockton. It draws from high schools, public and private, throughout Northern California. The students left on Friday to go to the tournament. They debated from Friday at about noon until 12:30 a.m. Of the 7 teams that went, 3 of them broke out, which means that they made it to the next day tournament, which is pretty amazing. And of those 3 teams of 2 of them went to the semifinals. So out of 71 teams from all across Northern California, San Marin High School debate team had 2 of the final 4 teams. And one of those teams went on to win the whole thing. Wow. So it's an amazing club. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because it's in danger of going away next year. Ms. Kenyon has already notified everybody that she's retiring, officially retiring. This is her last year doing it. And we've been we've notified Principal Littlefield, and he's trying, I think, to find someone to take over, but has not been successful thus far. And so I'm bringing it up because I don't know exactly what you can do, but I'd like for you to think about the kinds of skills that these kids are learning. They are absolutely the 21st century skills. There's public speaking, there's leadership, there's the knowledge of current events and history. There's also learning how to do research in a really stressful, extreme time pressure situation, thinking on their feet, crystallizing information into cogent talking points and being able to express that, teaching other people about subjects they may not know about, convincing others of an argument. These are skills that are so valuable, not only to their high school career, but to their college and to their future careers. And when college admission officers are interviewed about what are the kinds of clubs, that are most important, speech and debate comes up at the very top, because those, colleges recognize those are the skills that really prove to be successful for college and future careers. So I'm hoping that you can not only A, recognize Ms. Kenyon for her tremendous work for the past 6 years in the spring, but also B, think about how you can support and continue this club and maybe even expand it to Novato High. Think about having an elementary, a middle school program as an elective so that it feeds into what you have is a real jewel here. San Marin is the only high school other than, I think, Redwood High in all of Marin County that offers this speech and debate club, and I really don't want it to go away. So thank you for your time.
What about, can I just, mock trial is another one.
That is a separate club.
Yeah,
and
but
it's
just as strong as speech and debate, I feel.
It is an
good-
absolutely good club, and there's a lot of kids that do both.
Yeah, okay.
But that one tends to be more kids interested in judicial careers.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thanks, Marla. Okay, that's all I had for that. All right, our first discussion item. Karen? Hi.
Well, good evening. That before you is a proposal to award a contract to Sage Renewable to be our solar procurement specialist as we move into looking at solar projects. That is a very regulated, a very specialized body of work and industry. And so what we're recommending is that we move forward with this proposal where Sage Renewable will help us and guide us through the process. As shared with you before, what the district is looking at in the very short term is solar projects, most likely parking, shade structures, and there is an urgency here. And the urgency around solar is that there's 3 things that are currently occurring in this industry that could really affect the savings that solar can produce for us. One is what's called NEMS, or net energy metering, or negative energy metering is set to expire sometime in the summer. There was only so much allotted in this credit, and that's where when you produce more energy, then you're able to essentially offset your electricity bill with that. That's set to expire either in June or July, and so the whole system would have to be up and going in order for us to get this. Also, there's a special rate that PG&E has. It's called A6 metering, or A6 rate, and that's also set to expire at the end of this year. And that is a rate that gives a credit or a special rate with solar. So it's very helpful when you use solar to have that. That's set to expire. And then lastly, the investment tax credit, which helps investors that invest in the projects be able to get a tax credit, a 30% tax credit. That's a federal law that is set to expire December 31st, 2016. So when we looked at this, there really is an urgency. And so this company, Sage, who is a Marin company, has been doing school districts, would be able to help us through the process and then also help us do the RFP to select the company and then go forward with it. So that we've asked them to do this. They'll be doing it through 4 phases, but basically the first thing they'll be doing is a feasibility study. And that'll give us the information to what extent that we're able to do it, the timeline, the cost, and then looking at it to see if it is what's called a PPA, which is a power purchase agreement, or through owner build, and looking at the pros and cons in that. And so they're ready to go, they're ready to start, they have an excellent team and ready to support us. So we did also checked with some other school districts that have used them. Most currently was Larkspur, and they were very satisfied with the work that they did there. And so asking for your for your approval of this proposal. Any questions?
I appreciate you providing the matrix as well.
Oh.
Comparing the other bids that we got.
Right.
That was really helpful in how you came to this decision in picking them.
Right, we solicited 9 firms, we had 7 response, and in the board packet is a matrix that shows the rubric or how we went through and determined which firm to bring forward for approval by the board.
Questions for Karen? Yeah, Trustee Cooper.
So as you might imagine, I'm extremely happy we're proceeding with this, and thank you. So what is the timeline? It may be in this report, but I didn't see it. What's the timeline that they're going to get, that we actually the RFPs may actually go out?
We had a phone conversation with them yesterday in anticipation of questions and our recommendation of approval. We will be meeting with them this Friday. We've already started the process and getting the approval. There's information that they need for the feasibility study. We sent the forms off to PG&E. So the short of your answer is that what we believe that we can do is meet that deadline of the summertime. Again, it's looking at which projects. We have 14 sites. Would it necessarily be all 14 sites? Not necessarily. So we'll be looking at that. The RFPs will go out, and we'll have that before the Christmas break. We'll have results back and then be able to move forward with a bid, come back in January and awarding it. But the first step really is the feasibility study, to look at it both in how many of the sites would be feasible, or looking at it, because what you don't want to do is overbuild the system, because if it's, let's say, the energy that's used is at a school district is 100 kilowatts, you want a system that produces less than that, because once you produce more energy from solar, let's say 120, you would only get to offset 100. So looking at that carefully, and also one of the other reasons that we're bringing forth this firm for recommendation, they have they're here in Marin. Also, they do a lot of community meetings. So we also spoke to them about the importance of going out to the community and talking to them about the different structures, where they're placed, and all of that, so that we have community input, awareness as we move forward. So it will be aggressive with the schedule in order to get the different credits, but we think that it's doable. And again, it may not be all 13 schools or 14 sites, but we'll be looking to maximize those that we can.
And then Karen, thank you. And then one of the items on the rubric was, and this is really, really helpful, I can see you did a very thorough job, but the cost item, it said, you gave it a ranking. What kind of, I think this is a total of $72,000 that you're asking for. What kind of range were we talking about between the least expensive and?
The second ranked one was like 92,000, so looking at that. And the reason in the board report I put not to exceed 72,000, it's again based on that phase 1. So that phase 1, I believe, is 10,000. That's the feasibility study. Once they scope the work, then that'll determine the total cost of the project to them. So the most it will be is the 72,000, and that's if all sites were designed. So if less sites are designed, then the cost will come down in accordance with that. Because part of this also of the fee, be it this company or any of them, is a transfer of design fees. So when they put out the RFP, depending on the school site, then they'll also be designing those structures, which typically in other construction, an architect does when you build out a project. So let's say we did the San Ramon multipurpose building. The architect designed that as we went out to bid. So some of those costs that you see now, we would have been expending in another project through the architect. But to your question, it certainly was within the range and a little bit on the lower side.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Russ, and then I have a blue card.
So thank you very much for bringing this forward. As we had this conversation, I think 5 years ago, and this is a technology solution. And as we all know, computers and everything keep getting cheaper and faster and better. And on the other hand, what we have in this case is the tax benefit trigger is going to disappear. So going as late as possible in time this year versus 5 years ago gives us the best technology available, but not to the point where we lose the tax credit. So you've picked a sweet spot for us to attract this. I know there's lots of other districts, Santa Rosa and San Domenico and lots of others who have done solar. It's a proven technology as long as the economics work. And the opportunity to educate our community with some meetings so they understand the value, not just they read about it in the paper, but they understand how it benefits our schools and that this town supports it would be great. So thank you very much for the timing on this whole exercise and bringing it forward with this expedite process. Thanks.
I have a blue card, public comment. Marla Fields.
You're not trying to get out of here or anything, are
No,
you?
take your time.
I'm just
We
kidding.
have-
Okay. First of all, I just want to say congratulations to the board, superintendent, for your incredibly speedy action, and especially to Karen Maloney as well for really thorough due diligence. You know, I was just here, I think it was the last board meeting, talking about encouraging you to go forward, and here I am again, saying thank you. So that was great. I want to support the recommendation to work with Sage Renewables. I think it's great that they're a local company. They're in Inverness, I think it is. I think it's great that they know marine clean energy. That's going to be really helpful. They have good school experience as well. So all those things, I think I'm really happy with your selection. The one comment I have is I noticed in the contract that it talks about a power purchase agreement, PPA, and I just want you to consider not locking yourself into that as the model. You should also potentially have them look at ownership model. There is opportunities to do very low interest, under 2% interest Krebs bonds, which are the clean renewable energy bonds, and that would still make it cash flow positive, but in the long run be a much better deal for the school district. So I encourage you to ask Sage to look at both of those options. And other than that, thank you very much. Congratulations to hopefully incoming and or existing re-elected board members on the election tonight.
Thanks, Marla.
If I can just follow up with that comment, it may not have been, or apparently it's not as clear in the proposal and the RFP, that when we did put it out, we did speak to the companies and specifically with Sage to do both. And one of the reasons that we also are recommending a consultant, let's say opposed to myself or other staff, doing this is because they will take, and when they craft the RFP and the design, they will be able to do it in a way that they can compare and help us analyze what the benefits are with a PPA or owner built. Some of it has to do with time. Marla's correct, there are Krebs and other bonds out there that are low interest, but right now also in the market, PPAs are very competitive. And so, but this firm will help us, they have the expertise, and help us as we move through the legal and the analysis of it all.
Any further questions? Trustee Nell?
Well, I just want to thank you for bringing this forward. I think this is a very good approach. It seems like we've got a very objective, experienced consultant to choose from here, and it says to me that this is a complicated decision that we have to make. Timing is an issue. There's a lot of money at stake. There's the financing in itself is a lot to consider. But in the long run, I think we'll all be better off generating our own power and being somewhat sustainable. And so I hope we're going to be able to figure this out and implement it in a way so that'll segue with our own facility general bond obligations that are likely to come forward in the coming years. So I'm speaking in favor of it and intend to support it. So hopefully we'll get started very soon.
Okay. Trustee Geela?
A second.
Oh,
was
was
that
that
a
your motion?
No.
You want to make that a motion? Trustee Nell?
I will move to accept and to the recommendation of our Chief Financial Officer to proceed with the contracting Sage. Are they just Sage or are they Sage?
It's Sage Renewable.
Sage Renewable.
Okay.
Second.
And Trustee Aguila seconds. All in favor? 6-0.
All right, thank
One
you so
absent.
much.
Thanks, Karen.
Thanks, Karen.
Okay, we have our Chris Koska, and we have our 16-17 calendar. Trustees, you have a new version on your table in front of you.
So first, I want to thank you for your patience around the 2016-17 calendar. Patience of the board, patience of the community as we've worked through this. I think it was the meeting at which I was given the opportunity to work in this district in September, or in August, when the first calendar came. That was pulled at the last minute because we felt like the community hadn't had sufficient involvement in the development of the calendar, and the right thing to do is to go back out and give people a chance to voice their perspective. And so we've gone out and done that. And then in the meantime, while we had a very broad-based committee working on our calendar, Mary Jane Burke, our superintendent for Marin County Office of Education, I think rather wisely worked with the superintendents of Marin County to try to get some commonality of the calendars across Marin. And so that's kind of sent us back to the drawing board once more. Again, I believe all for the right reasons. So now we have a calendar before you that we think does the best job we can do of aligning our calendar with the Marin County district calendars, that instructionally provides us with a calendar that's the best for students, does our best to balance the number of days in the semesters and in the trimesters. You'll notice we're still a little bit out of balance with the first semester being shorter than the second. That's commonly something that's done. It takes into account all the assessments that happen in the second semester. We try to move the staff development days around a little bit so that they will minimize the impact on ADA, while also taking into some concerns that were raised by parents about the way we had them in this school year, the 15-16 school year. The calendar presents a number of challenges this year. Typically, we end school on a Thursday. This year, we're ending school on a Friday. It's just the way the calendar falls. The alternative to that was to have the teachers come back 3 days earlier and have a really quick start to the school year. They'd have to come back on the 12th of August, and the committee felt like that was just too early. So that pushed things back to school ending on a Friday. This calendar stuff's complicated, and unless you've sat down with a group of people and tried to solve the problems, you don't understand how complicated it is, more than likely. And some calendar years are more difficult. This is one of those more difficult years. And actually 17-18, which we're already going to be looking at, is another complicated year. But we'll work together. We'll find the best calendar we can for our kids. And we'll bring that to you soon. So if you have any questions, comments about the calendar?
Okay. No? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for bringing it back to the committee and revetting it and going through that process, because there were several concerns from community members, and I think we've done the best that we can. So.
Glad to help.
All right, trustee Geela?
So it's a motion?
Yes, it is a motion,
So I'd
discussion
like-
action item.
I'd like to make a motion that, it's not perfect, definitely, but this is a lot better than the previous one that we saw. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve the proposed school calendar for the 2016-17 school year.
Okay,
I'll second.
trustee Geela is a first, trustee Nell is a second. All in favor to approve the 16-17 calendar? 6-0, one absent. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
All right, we have 2 items pulled from consent, and trustee Millerick, you,
10F.
You're
is-
on.
Yep, thank you, 10F. This is the contract with Greystone, and I reviewed the contract, and in the scope of the contract, there are Appendix A that defines scope of content. It's the fee schedule, which is perfectly appropriate, but it doesn't identify the range of tasks. But I looked at the agenda, and it appears that we're asking them to do duties as assigned, but specifically facilities master planning, San Marin High School STEM programming, portable placement, and assist in the RFP for the solar program, which is, yeah, somebody want to give Karen the,
Referring
so I
to
just
the
want to
last
confirm
page.
that that's really what we're doing is, because it isn't written in the contract explicitly, the contract's an open fee schedule.
That if I can direct the board to page 1 of the contract agreement.
Oh, okay.
That the retention of the construction manager lists the scope. And then on the very last page, you're correct, that is the fee schedule. So they're in 2 different parts of the agreement.
Okay.
And so that may be the cause for
I just must have missed
confusion.
it. Okay, good.
But thank you for bringing that
Yep,
up.
yep.
That's an important aspect to make sure that we're aligning that. And so
I see
we
it. Thank
got
you
it.
very much.
Yeah,
Thank you. I
but
just
good
missed it.
question.
Yep, good.
Oh, okay.
It's there on the page 1.
Perfect. So I just didn't see it in the scope, and I wanted to be sure we were all aligned. as
No,
to
I
what we were
appreciate
doing.
that question. Good call.
So with
it's there, I
that,
believe.
and I'm thrilled that we're bringing in Adam to help move this along in a quick and expeditious fashion. So I'd like to move approval of item 10F.
I'd like to second the.
Okay, trustee Nell is a second. All in
Thank you,
favor
Karen.
to approve Greystone's contract? Okay, 6-0, one absent. You're on, Ross,
And 10M.
which is M.
Yeah, this was, I was curious. We have a gift here to the tune of $20,000, but I don't know if there's conditions that come with the gift, if this is a grant from an agency, if we have performance requirements at the tune of 20 grand. While we have all the gifts over $100 are supposed to come to the board, this isn't just, and it doesn't say where it came from or what duties are bound to this, and so I was curious to have that information. And Karen, I believe I left you an email earlier in the week that describes this. So hopefully this isn't a surprise question to you.
No, that's okay. So you're correct, we do have a board policy that says we're required to bring grants forward. When I researched it, that this grant actually did come through last fiscal year. I had Gladys search it to see if it had come before the board. It had not, so you're correct with that. Looking at the actual grant, it is for San Marin. It is a grant that actually the gentleman from the foundation approached us here in the district office, and then in conjunction with San Marin. We filled out the required grant, submitted it, and was awarded. And as shown on the document, it's been allocated 4 ways. But to your question about coming to the board, it should have come to the board. It did not come to the board. It's the William Donner Foundation. And what we can do is send that out to the board so you do have that. The money's been received, so it's been approved by the granting agency. But to follow policy, it should have come before the board. So we certainly can bring that back as an information item or put it in the Friday update. And we worked with Principal Littlefield at San Marin as we worked through this. So, but we certainly can get that information
My
to you.
concern is, thank you very much for that, but my concern is if there's conditions, with this amount of money, usually there's conditions that we agree to that says we're going to do something, either buy computers or whatever those conditions are, and
Yeah,
I
my
would like to make sure we
recollection-
understand when the board accepts the funds, that we understand the conditions that we're agreeing to.
And absolutely. And so we're pulling those documents and we'll get that, but I don't believe there were any specific strings attached, that the allocation is 10,000 to the STEM Marin program, 4,000 to soccer, and 6,000 to the water polo. But we certainly, as I said, will bring that back, the actual grant for the board.
So they're expecting the money to be expended in a certain way, so.
Right, and
so
it's
that's the
been
information I was looking for.
deposited into the financial system with those restrictions on it, and so.
With that, I move approval of the items, the gifts under.
Second.
Good, thanks.
Trustee
All right,
Cooper
thank you.
seconds it. Thanks, Ross, for bringing that up. Thank you. All in favor to approve item M? Okay, 6-0, 1 absent. All right, that is it. Thank you, everybody. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you, Madam President.